It was a grave like any other, or so they thought. Megan Larson, a name etched in stone, a life seemingly cut short, buried, mourned, case closed. But secrets rarely stay buried forever, especially not in places where the earth itself seems to hold its breath. The quiet town believed it knew sorrow. It was about to learn a new definition, a discovery that would unravel everything they thought was true, a discovery that began with a single, chilling directive. The call came to Greene County Dispatch. May 17, 2025, a date now seared into memory. The voice on the other end, distorted, eerie. The badge is cracked, it rasped. The moon is broken. Then, the words that sent a shiver down the spine of law enforcement. Go back to the grave. Which grave? They knew. Megan Larson's final resting place. But what awaited them there was not rest. It was a gaping question. A void where answers should have been. Investigators arrived, the air heavy with dread, the soil disturbed, not by time, not by nature. This was deliberate, methodical. They opened the coffin, expecting closure, finding instead a horrifying emptiness. Megan Larson was not there. In her place, a message, carved into the satin lining, 3 stark words. I was never there. A taunt from the missing, or perhaps a clue from someone else entirely. The earth yielded another secret that day. Alongside the carved message, something else. A small digital clue. A flash drive, labeled M Endgame. Endgame. The very word suggested a horrifying game was afoot. And the body they had buried, the one they thought was Megan, it was now listed as unknown female. A possible identity swap. The questions mounted. If that wasn't Megan in the grave, then who was she? And more importantly, where was the real Megan Larson? The nightmare was only just beginning. It was clear someone was playing a twisted game, a game of life and death and identities stolen in the night. The day before the grave's unsettling secret was unearthed, another message had surfaced. This one, quieter, more personal. It arrived in the inbox of a retired FBI analyst, a man who thought he'd left the world of shadows behind. The message was brief, terse. You're looking in the wrong places. Attached, an audio file. A voice, female, familiar yet not. I'm still Witness M, it declared. But I'm not Megan, Witness M. A name from the periphery of the Larson case, now thrust into the very center. These were not random acts, they were calculated moves, pieces on a chessboard no one fully understood. The call to dispatch, the email to the analyst, each a breadcrumb, leading investigators down a rabbit hole. Deeper and deeper into a mystery that defied easy explanation. The badge is cracked, the moon is broken, symbolic language, or perhaps literal warnings. The moon, it would become a recurring motif. A symbol of a darkness that was far from broken. In fact, it seemed to be growing stronger. The identity of Witness M was suddenly paramount. If she wasn't Megan, then who was she? And what did she know? Her words implied a connection, a knowledge of the deception. Was she a victim, a participant, or something far more complex? The authorities, once confident, now found themselves adrift. The old leads cold, the old theories shattered. They were operating in a new landscape of fear, one where the dead didn't stay dead. And voices from the past held the keys to a terrifying present. The messages acted as a catalyst, igniting a dormant investigation, forcing a re-examination of every fact, every piece of evidence. The empty grave confirmed the horrifying truth hinted at by Witness M. The wrong girl had been mourned, the wrong story told. Now, the race was on. To find Megan, to find Witness M, and to uncover the puppet master pulling the strings. Before the endgame reached its final, chilling conclusion, the whispers were growing louder, and what they foretold was a storm on the horizon. The identity of Witness M did not remain a mystery for long. Just one day after her cryptic message to the retired FBI analyst, the truth began to surface. On May 16, 2025, a birth certificate appeared. Left intentionally, it seemed, at an Albuquerque library. The name on the document, Alyssa Marie Granger, born April 15, 1995. The same birth date as Megan Larson. A coincidence? Or something more sinister? It was a piece of the puzzle, deliberately placed. Alyssa Granger, a name that resonated with cold case files. She had been reported missing back in 2012. A young life, vanished. Her case eventually closed in 2013. Presumed dead, lost in a tragic house fire, or so the official record stated, but now that record was being rewritten. Forensic voice print analysis provided further confirmation. The audio file, ML_final.mov, a piece of evidence from earlier in the Megan Larson investigation, featured not Megan's voice but Alyssa's. The pieces were starting to click into a disturbing pattern. Then came a memory, unearthed, from the files of a youth shelter worker back in 2013, an unnamed girl, haunted. She had uttered a strange phrase. She took my name, I took hers. That was the deal. At the time it was dismissed, the ramblings of a troubled teen. Now, it sounded like a confession, a chilling admission of an identity swap. Authorities began to believe that Megan Larson and Alyssa Granger had met, sometime between 2011 and 2012, and a pact was made, a dangerous exchange. So, Witness M was Alyssa Granger, alive, speaking from the shadows. But this revelation only deepened the mystery surrounding Megan Larson. If Alyssa had taken Megan's name, what had become of Megan? Had she willingly participated in this deal? Or was she a victim of a far more elaborate scheme? The youth shelter workers report, Alyssa's own words on the tapes soon to be discovered, all pointed to a complex relationship, a shared fate, and a shadowy figure orchestrating their intertwined destinies. The name was known. The story, however, was far from over. The flash drive found in Megan Larson's empty coffin Endgame was more than just a taunt. It was a key, a digital Pandora's box. Once opened, it revealed a map, chilling in its simplicity, titled Harvest 7 Pins, scattered across 4 states, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, each pin a potential location of interest, each a possible site of unspeakable acts. This was no ordinary map, it was a blueprint of a dark design, a trail leading investigators into the heart of an unfolding horror. The locations were varied, remote, isolated, places where secrets could fester, where screams could go unheard. The map linked these sites to 2 ominous names, the Crescent Circle and an individual, or entity, known only as KJ, names that would soon become synonymous with fear and manipulation. As investigators began to explore these pinned locations, a pattern of missing women started to emerge, each pin a potential new victim, or a piece of a larger terrifying puzzle. The harvest seemed to be a harvest of lives. One pin on the map, pin number 4, proved immediately elusive. It marked a piece of private land, deep in an inaccessible area. Property records revealed it was owned by a trust, the KJ Initiative. KJ again. The name kept surfacing, a ghost in the machine. This unreachable location hinted at resources, planning, a level of sophistication that was deeply unsettling. What secrets did pin number 4 hold? For now, it remained a frustrating dead end, a locked door in a house of horrors. The harvest map was a declaration, a challenge. It suggested a network, an operation far larger than anyone had initially suspected. The Crescent Circle, KJ, these were not just names. They were architects of a nightmare. The pins were not random, they were deliberate. Each one a chapter in a story investigators were desperately trying to read before it was too late. The map promised answers, but it also warned of the darkness that lay ahead on this sinister path, a path that seemed to lead directly to the fate of Megan Larson. Section 5. Scrawled confessions and recorded truths, echoes from the first pins. The investigation began to follow the harvest map, pin by pin, each location unearthing fresh horrors. Pin number 1 led them to the Ozarks, to a sealed room, hidden away. Inside, a chilling message, carved into the wall, I am not her, dated June 14, 2012. Alongside it, a child's drawing, crude, disturbing, depicting a simple yet terrifying concept, trade. The implications were clear. An exchange had happened here. A life swapped for another. The date aligned with the suspected timeline of Megan and Alyssa's meeting. Then, pin number 2, rural Oklahoma, a desolate spot. Here they found not carvings but voices. 7 cassette tapes, labeled Witness M session number, dated between 2011 and 2014. The voice on those tapes, Alyssa Granger. Her words, a harrowing chronicle, detailing the identity swap, confirming their worst fears. They took her name, Alyssa's voice, young and afraid, echoed from the past. They gave me hers. KJ moved her. KJ, the name again, the architect of this cruel exchange. These early discoveries painted a grim picture. A young girl, Alyssa, forced or coerced into assuming another's identity. Megan Larson, spirited away by this mysterious KJ, the drawing of trade. Alyssa's recorded testimony. It all pointed to a deliberate, orchestrated plan. A plan that had been in motion for over a decade. The question was, why? What was the purpose of this elaborate deception? What did KJ want with Megan Larson? The tapes offered clues, but also more questions. The sealed room in the Ozarks, the desolate field in Oklahoma, these were not just locations, they were stages, theaters for a drama of stolen lives. I am not her. Alyssa's desperate assertion, her voice on the tapes, a ghostly echo of the trauma she endured. The evidence was mounting. This was no simple missing person case. This was a conspiracy, deeply rooted, carefully planned, and KJ was at its center. The first pins had revealed the what and the how. The why remained terrifyingly elusive. Section 6. Moonwatchers and Lost Innocence, Candid Camera, Hidden Horrors. The trail of pins continued, each stop more disturbing than the last. Pin number 3 led investigators to an old church in East Texas. Its sanctity, a cruel facade. In the basement, a hidden room. The walls lined with photographs, young women, their faces a mixture of hope and fear. Among them, one stood out, unnamed, but with a chilling caption, Harvest candidate, prime subject M. Moonwatcher approval, yes, phase 2, ready, subject M. Was this Megan? Moonwatcher, another cryptic term, another layer to this sinister organization. Then, pin number 5, a remote cabin in Arkansas. Here, the past and present collided with chilling force. A child's shoe, small, worn, identified as belonging to Megan Larson, dated back to 2012, a poignant symbol of lost innocence. But next to it, something far more current, a Polaroid photograph, dated April 2025, just weeks ago. It showed a woman, her face obscured, clutching a flash drive, and in the background a figure, watching, tall, in a gray suit. The caption on the Polaroid, "Don't look away." The term harvest candidate. Prime subject M. Moonwatcher approval. This was the language of an organization. Cold, clinical, dehumanizing. The Crescent Circle, it seemed, had a process, a system for selecting and preparing its subjects. Was Megan their prime candidate? And what was phase 2? The photograph from the Arkansas cabin was a clear message. Someone was still out there. Watching, documenting, perhaps even controlling the flow of information. The figure in the gray suit. Was this KJ? Or another operative in this shadowy network? The East Texas church, the Arkansas cabin. These sites were not just pins on a map. They were evidence of a long-term operation. One that viewed young women as candidates, subjects. The child's shoe, a heartbreaking reminder of who Megan was before she became Subject M. The Polaroid, a chilling glimpse into her present. Or perhaps the present of another victim. The phrase "don't look away" was a command, a dare, forcing investigators and the world to confront the horrors being systematically uncovered. The Moonwatchers were active, and their harvest was far from over. Section 7, the second activation inside the Oklahoma chamber. The 6th pin on the harvest map led the investigation to Chickasha, Oklahoma, to a seemingly ordinary ranch house. But beneath its unassuming exterior lay a secret, a sealed chamber. The entry code? April 15, 1995. Megan Larson's birthday, or as they now knew, Alyssa Granger's as well. The date itself, a twisted link between the two girls. Inside, the scene was one of clinical horror. A gurney, restraints, the metallic scent of fresh blood. This was no ordinary room, it was a place of transformation. The blood found in the chamber was a match for Megan Larson. But there were other fingerprints. Unknown, unidentified. A silent testament to others who had been there. And a note, left behind. Signed with a crescent symbol and the initials, MK. A joint signature? Or M, branded by KJ. The note read, "She passed the test." The second activation is live, there is no May anymore, only what we made. The words were chilling, suggesting a profound change. A remaking of Megan Larson, or whoever M now was. Adding to the horror, a voice recording. Discovered in the chamber, it was Megan's voice, or what sounded like her. Speaking of being chosen, claiming her name was never Megan. Was this the result of conditioning, brainwashing, or something else entirely? The note echoed this sentiment. "I am not the same girl they buried, I am not your name." Trace amounts of radiation were also detected in the chamber. A strange, unsettling detail. What kind of test had she passed? What was this second activation? The Chickasha ranch house was a turning point. It confirmed that Megan, or Subject M, was alive, or had been recently. And she was undergoing some kind of process, an activation. The note, the recording, the very atmosphere of the chamber. It all spoke of a deliberate, terrifying alteration of a human being. There is no me anymore, only what we made. This wasn't just about a missing girl, this was about creation, or perhaps destruction. The KJ initiative, the Crescent Circle, they weren't just abducting girls, they were attempting to remake them. And the second activation was live. The clock was ticking. Section 8, Graven Hollow's grip. Subject M in the Circle's dark heart, the final pin. Number 7. Graven Hollow, Texas. A ghost town, aptly named. As FBI agents moved in, technology failed. Cameras went black. A chilling, localized interference. Then, a sighting. A figure on the roof of the town's dilapidated church. A woman, wearing a shirt with a stark declaration, "I am Subject M." It was her, Megan Larson, or what she had become. The confrontation they had sought was at hand. But it would come at a terrible cost. This was the heart of the operation. 4 FBI agents went missing in Graven Hollow. Vanished into the desolate landscape. One eventually returned, but he was changed. His behavior erratic, repeating a single disturbing phrase, "She is not one. She is all," and a new tattoo. Fresh, raw, MKJ, Victim 0, entry point, Victim 0, entry point. The words hinted at a horrifying expansion, a contagion. Beneath the ghost town, tunnels were discovered, lined with photographs. 17 missing girls, their faces haunting the darkness. Dating from 2008 to 2016. A long dark history. This was the domain of the Crescent Circle, operating in southern Missouri and beyond from 2008 to 2013. Publicly, a rehab ministry. Privately, something far more sinister. Suspected of disappearances, psychological and pharmaceutical experimentation. Their harvest, investigators now believed, was about awakening subjects. KJ was the central figure, the man with the moonpin, as Alyssa had reported in 2011, a name whispered in fear. A journalist, Kendra Levins, who investigated the circle in 2021, also disappeared. An ex-member had told her the crescent symbol marks who's left behind, graven hollow, the Crescent Circle, KJ. The pieces were falling into a terrifying mosaic. This was not just a series of kidnappings, it was a cult, an organization dedicated to a dark purpose. The KJ Initiative Trust owned not just pin number 4, but also the ranch house at pin number 6. Their reach was extensive, their methods, brutal. The altered agent, the list of victims, Subject M's bold declaration graven hollow was the epicenter. And Subject M was their prized creation, an entry point for what no one yet knew. But fear was now a constant companion. Section 9, The Convergence Point. What became of Megan Larson? Who is Megan Larson now? The girl from the missing posters is gone, replaced by Subject M, a figure of chilling purpose, psychologically reconditioned, authorities believe. Molded by the Crescent Circle and the enigmatic KJ, his pronouncements are possessive, terrifying. She was reborn the day she disappeared, KJ stated in a recently authenticated message. She is not a victim, she is mine. He claims Megan volunteered, that she broke herself to let us in. His chilling assertion, she is no longer singular, an event looms, referred to by KJ as the day she opens, scheduled for May 23, 2025, just 3 days from today. The location Harvest Site 7, Graven Hollow, Texas. Megan, or Subject M, is described as the convergence point, a switch who opens on this day. What does it mean? What will be unleashed? At Site 7, Megan herself left a message. I was not the first, it read. I am only the first to live. Beside it, 17 initials, 18 crescents, and one set of initials circled in blood, A.G. Alyssa Granger. The transformation of Megan Larson is an ongoing horror. In recent weeks, April and May of this year, sightings of Subject M have increased. A woman in a black hoodie, a crescent pendant, Colorado Springs, Amarillo, Texarkana. Coinciding with these sightings, young women have disappeared from nearby hospitals, leaving behind notes. She said I could rest now. Surveillance footage during these appearances glitches. For 14 seconds the cameras see nothing. Then, Subject M is gone. And so is another young woman. The date approaches, May 23rd, the day she opens. What will happen in Graven Hollow? Is Megan a willing participant in KJ's plan? A victim transformed into a weapon? Or something else entirely, something no one can yet comprehend? And Alyssa Granger AG circled in blood. Is she the next target, or a crucial part of this opening? The questions loom large, terrifying. As the world watches and waits, the mystery of Megan Larson is hurtling towards a horrifying climax. The convergence point is near, and what happens next is anyone's guess. The only certainty is that the darkness is far from over.